Hello, we're going to answer 3 questions today. What is a mental block? How does it happen? And how do you get rid of it? First of all, my daughter came home from practice one day. She was a gymnast. She was 9. This is about 15 years ago. And she said, "Mom, Sarah asked me to do a back walkover on the high beam and I couldn't do it." And just like every other mom in the world, I said, "That's okay. Don't worry about it. You'll figure it out." Right? All of us moms are like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You got it. You can do it." Especially when it first happens. The problem is with that, a mental block is simply a disconnect between the mind and the body. Once there's a disconnect between the mind and the body, all kinds of things can get between the mind and the body. Those are the symptoms. That's what coaches are trying to fix. Lack of confidence, the blocking. They can't hit the ball. They can't kick the ball through the upright. All the things that are lacking, those are the symptoms. Those aren't the root problem. They're not the real cause of the mental block. The mental block is simply how we get disconnected. We've all had this experience. When I was in high school, I could just do it. Things were fine. And then when I got to college, it didn't work so well. I flunked out of school. The doing strategy doesn't work, and then the mind and the body get disconnected. Okay, so anything, if your athlete can physically do it, and they're not doing it, then there's something mentally going on. The problem is that it's happening to the athlete unconsciously. It's not like they're trying. They're not doing it on purpose. There's not an athlete in the world that isn't making the effort or isn't trying. If there's something mentally going on, it can look like they're not making the effort, they're not doing what they're told, they're not cooperating, they're lazy. People will say all the time, she's just lazy. She's just not doing it. She's not making the effort. She's afraid. Okay, but this is an unconscious process. That's the problem. How do you get rid of it? You have to understand it to get rid of it. And what happens is Olivia comes home. She can't do the back walkover. As soon as she can't do it, her mind and body get disconnected and all kinds of things get between her mind and her body. The problem is that they're just doing it to start. Athletes are all taught to do it, don't think about it. Do it. And so they do a cartwheel, do a round off, do a back handspring, then they're doing them on the beam. And what happens is the mind is like, I don't really like that. I want you to pay attention. I want you to be safe. But it's an unconscious process. It's not like they're aware of it. They're not thinking about it. They're not even thinking about what they're doing. Most NFL players get to the NFL just doing it. They're not aware. If they were aware of how they were doing it, they wouldn't have an issue. If all the best players in the world were aware of how they were good and what they were doing, well, they'd be the best coaches, but they're not, because it's an unconscious process. So when there's a problem, they don't know what to do. So the doing strategy, just doing it, is an unconscious process, okay? But what I do when I teach it is I'll say, okay, if you can just do the skill without thinking about it, that's what I call the doing strategy. So now, yes, you can kick your mind out and just do it. This takes their mentality from a unconscious, I'm just doing it without awareness, to, oh, I'm choosing to just do it and I'm gonna kick my mind out. That's where the athlete is empowered to have choice. The learning strategy is thinking about what I'm doing as I'm doing it, without a new place to land, without a way to stay connected. Athletes don't know how to manage it. They're trying to get out of their head. Most coaches are going to tell them, get out of your head, don't think about it, just do it. It doesn't work when there's a mental disconnect. What does work is giving your mind a job, otherwise it'll create its own job. The learning strategy is focusing on my technique, my form. How do I want to move my body? It's focusing on what they can control. And the learning strategy gives the athlete a choice. What works best for you. You can't just tell an athlete to visualize themselves doing that. My daughter called me from Ball State. She was a D1 gymnast. And she was like, our mental skills coach here tells us to visualize ourselves doing it on the beam. And when I do that, I see myself on the side of the beam. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. That's not helpful. I go, Livy, for you, it's a learning strategy. What do you do to help you stay connected to your body in the moment? She said, I talk my way through. I said, do that. I said, your coach doesn't know the learning strategy. Okay? Understanding that it's an unconscious process, bringing conscious awareness to what's going on unconsciously is the solution. That's where it puts the athlete in control. Without that, they're just trying. They're trying to move around the mental block. They're trying to get out of their head. That's exhausting. Why do most people quit the sport before their 13th? Because they're mentally exhausted and the coaches are constantly just trying to fix the symptom and it doesn't work and the athlete feels like they are the problem. By the time I get to most of my clients, they're exhausted. They feel like they are the problem. They're equal to it. They feel bad about themselves. They feel like they're bad people. Okay, so how it happens is there's a situation where the doing strategy doesn't work and then all kinds of things get in their way. That's what I call is in their A circle. Whatever's in our A circle is what's making decisions for us or what's controlling us in that moment. By being aware of that, that gives the athlete the ability to go, oh yeah, I don't want to upset my coach. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to do it wrong. I don't want to not be prepared to compete. I don't want to get on all those thoughts. I don't want to strike out. I don't want to fall off the beam. All those thoughts are important. They're valid. So validating them, and then now what? Yeah, I don't want to strike out. Now I need to focus on how I want to hit the ball. Yes, I want to do my skill and I don't want to upset my coach. What do I need to focus on to do that? I need to stay tight. I need to keep my hips square. I need to focus, right? It gives the athlete the ability to acknowledge those things that were controlling her unconsciously in her A circle. And it also gives her a new place to land. Now I need to focus on what I'm doing. Understanding what a mental block is, it's an unconscious process. The solution is bringing conscious awareness to what they're doing unconsciously. With that ability, the athlete can work through it. The biggest thing is, you guys, I hate to see a kicker in an NFL game choke. One time is fine, but doing it again, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Because they're unaware of what is in their A circle. They're unaware of what to do in the moment to stay connected to their body. Okay? And then they can focus on what they need to do. How do you get rid of a mental block? You understand how to connect my mind to my body in the moment. So you can practice that, rely on that, build on that. That's what we can control. That's the only thing we can control, is being in the moment. If I know how to connect my mind to my body, I'm going to talk my way through, feel my way through, see my way through, think my way through, some kind of combination. I'm just going to kick my mind out and just do the doing strategy. I'm going to acknowledge those thoughts. I'm going to acknowledge that anxiety, doubt, fear. All those things are in their A circle. And as they understand how to manage that, they can do what they want to do when they want to do it. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe, share, comment on any mental block that you may have. Let's talk about it. Let's understand this so that we as moms can sleep through the night and be able to watch our kids on Beam. Wouldn't that be great? Have a good day.